Hi, this is Mike Tenney, host of Pop Culture Catechism on Awaken Catholic, and this is Awaken the Word, a reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. He also said to the crowds, "When you see a cloud rising in the west, you immediately say, 'It is going to rain.' And so it happens. And when you see the south wind blowing, you say, 'There will be a scorching heat.' And it happens. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of earth and sky, but why do you not know how to interpret the present time? And why do you not judge for yourselves what is right? Thus, when you go with your accuser before a magistrate, on the way make an effort to settle the case, or you may be dragged before the judge, and the judge hand you over to the officer, and the officer throw you in prison. And I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the very last penny." A little bit of a confusing reading today, so let's break it down. Jesus is talking to the crowds, and he's talking about all the various ways that they know how to predict things, and they know how to predict the weather in some very basic ways. Now, this is probably not something we can relate to because we just look up our weather app on our phone. That's not the sort of things we need to be able to predict. But there are other things that we become very good at predicting. Maybe you have a certain job where you have to look at market trends or the way people are behaving, and if we had, this sort of season last time, then we know that this is coming. Interest rates are here, or the stock market is here. There are lots of different things that we can predict. Maybe if you're a parent in your own families, if I don't get my kid a nap here, or if they don't get a snack here, or maybe my husband or my wife doesn't get a snack here, you can predict how things are going to go. Maybe when somebody walks in the door, you can just tell from their mood the way that things are going, and you can tell a lot of ways how they react. There's lots of things in our life that we can predict, and Jesus is saying we need to have that same sort of sensitivity, not just with our jobs and with our families and the people in our lives, but with our moral lives. We need to be able to look at what's going on in our day and age and say, let's look at this with the eyes of God. Let's use that same level of attention to spiritual matters as we do for our everyday lives. And so recognize what's going on in this current time. We are supposed to be living this kingdom of God, God's will done on earth as in heaven, in our own hearts and in our own lives. And now he says, now, why don't you judge for yourself what is right? He turns into talking about sin, and he has this whole thing about you want to settle and reconcile with people. Otherwise, you're going to get thrown in jail and you won't get out of there ever until you paid the last penny. And this can be on the surface kind of a thing about it can seem like God's saying, if you don't reconcile and you don't stop sinning, I'm going to send you to hell forever. And I think on the surface level, that can kind of be one way of understanding. But I think on a deeper level, you can understand it this way, especially in context of what he just said, is use the times to look at yourself. And when you're sinning and you can't stop sinning, use your brain to think, why am I doing this? There's a why behind the sin. So we don't become slaves to them. We have to think about these things, and with the same attention that we look at our everyday lives. I have been Mike Tenney, and this has been Awaken the Word.
Awaken the Word is made in partnership by Spoke Street Media and Awaken Catholic.